Loretta with Yoga-Mojo. Thanks for being here today. This week's flow I call Dark Moon to New Moon, in the acknowledgement and recognition of where we are in the season as we move from September into October. So today's flow is going to be working deeply into our hips, a little bit of our hamstrings, and I hope you enjoy it. I brought a block with me. If you have a block or a stack of books, if you'd like to have that, I'm going to show you how to use some props in some of these poses as well. Let's begin. I'm going to place a block here in the front of my mat so that it's in a space that I can take advantage of finding it when I need to in my flow. So as we begin our practice, let's start in the pose of mountain. It is called Tadasana. We'll root down into our feet, draw the belly in and up, relax any tension or tightness, and bring our hands to our heart into our mudra of Anjali. Feel a breath wave. In through the nose and out through the nose. And we'll begin with a modified Surya Namaskar A. We'll inhale and circle those arms all the way up and lift our gaze towards the sky. On the exhale, begin to hinge at your hips, float your heart forward, trying to keep the spine nice and long. We'll release the hands and tuck our chin. Our breath flows in, and it's a beautiful half flow. We can take the hand to the shin or even here to our thighs. Many of you might be able to use your block. Try to lift your sits bones, press to the inner feet, the outer feet. Keep the core strong. And as you exhale, we'll bend the knees so we can place our hands to the mat with ease. Step the feet back, coming into the pose of plank. And plank can be very challenging. We can pull the hands towards the midline, pull the feet, take the ankles back. Feel the press of the hands. Option. As you try to pull the forearms towards each other, release your knees. Take a little shift forward to create some length, and then begin to bend those elbows. Since this is our first one today, here we're going to take our hips down, release our belly. Feel the shoulders have some space and lift up. The pose of the cobra is a beautiful lift. It's a beautiful back bend. We can pull the hands back and feel the length through the spine. We can take the tops of the feet and press down. We'll exhale the breath and float down, releasing that. An option from Cobra would be upward facing dog. A little more strength in the arms. We'll take the tops of the feet. We might rock the heart up, maybe lift the gaze. And on your exhale, keep the core drawing in. Roll over your toes and arrive in the pose of downward facing dog. As we take a moment here, you might bend the knees by lifting the heels, lift your sits bones, you'll feel your chest release, then slowly release those heels back and down. To activate the calves, we'll lift the toes and feel the stretch into our calves, and then slowly release the toes. The first element, the first sequence of our flow begins post the introduction with a one-legged downward facing dog. A lift of our right leg towards the sky, and we're going to keep those toes pointed down, which is going to keep our hips level. As you take another breath, lift the right leg a little higher, and then gaze forward. Bring that right knee in towards your heart, and then let yourself float down with the head, the chin, and then sweep this right leg up again. As we turn the toes out, we just open the hip. We're going to try to level our shoulders, and gaze forward again, come high on the back toes, taking this right knee towards the elbow. If it is there for you, slide it up a little bit higher. On our inhale, the right leg's going to go up, left heel is going to go down. We're going to turn those right toes down, and then gaze forward again. Come high on the toes. Bring the shoulders forward to help that right foot arrive. Spiral your left heel down, heel to heel. Our gaze will shift forward, and we'll rise up into Warrior One. Let's take the reach up to the sky, and exhale. The Warrior One is one of strength. We can press into our feet, lift on up. And on the exhale, we're going to float weight forward. Try to keep as much length in our spine as we can to release the hands to the inside of our right foot. That can be really challenging. Some of us will bring our hands onto a block, and there will be those whose forearm might come here to the thigh to support them. Many variations in this portion of the sequence. If your hands come down to the mat with ease, some of you are going to say, I can take my heart forward, bend into my right hip, and maybe even bring my head down. So the forearms can come forward here. We can take any variation of this pose. We'll be setting ourselves up for a side angle called Parshva Konasana. With the block, we can take this hand on top of the block, hug the outer right hip in, keep the core strong, press it down, and then take the elbow up towards the sky. As you inhale, we'll lift the this left arm up towards the sky, and we're in our side angle pose. On your exhale, it's a big twist. It's an open twist, what I call an open twist. The left hand's going to come just beneath our shoulder. Right toes are going to turn out. We'll pivot onto our toes or even onto the outer edge of our back foot. Lift our hips a little, and then take our hand behind us. Feel the shoulder roll open, maybe take your gaze, and if it is there for you to spiral on the outer edge of your right foot, you can open up the arm and feel this huge open space twist. On the exhale, we lift up, we pivot the right toes forward, let that left heel reset down, shift our gaze, and rise up to warrior one. Exhaling to warrior two. And that shift from 1 to 2 is a nice step into the right foot to mid-arch. You might find that's more comfortable for your hips and your knees. And as we take Virabhadrasana 2, we're here in this pose, we're going to add on. Second sequence begins with reverse warrior. So we'll take the right arm and feel this breath. Stay deep in the right knee and open up through the intercostals. On your exhale, we come back to side angle. So it might be this version with the forearm, but now the left arm's up and over. So it's Uttita Parsvakonasana. We'll roll the left ribs back, maybe lift up. If this is here for you, maybe you take it to the block, maybe you take it down to the floor, maybe you take it to the outside. Now we'll windmill up and over, straightening this right leg, extending up. Pull the feet in towards each other to activate those legs. And from this pose of the reverse triangle, we'll come back to warrior two. As we take warrior two, we're going to move into our reverse warrior and side angle. Then go into our mountain into Skandasana. The turn of the right palm is a nice way of lifting up the energy. So we'll inhale and lift up this right arm, opening up that right side. On our exhale, this long reach forward. Right hip is still back, hand can come to the inside, to the outside, on a block. Then there's this awareness of energy along the left heel to the left toes. And then from this space, we're going to open up. And as we open up, we've got two strong, straight legs, and our arms reaching up and over. Our exhale brings us back to warrior two. To move to warrior mountain here, we're going to take this palm, turn it, and take our Tadasana, a nice wide angle mountain reach. The exhale brings us down into this left hip, where we can take this moment and say, I can pause here. Some will be able to lift their toes and come a little deeper. There will be some whose hips and hamstrings are really tight. Their heel might lift. So take it to where it is right for you. We take the space and we say, ah. Then we can open up and float towards the front. Take the same pose, but with the arms open. Challenging, we can always have those hands here or supporting us. Then as we take this breath, we'll exhale and shift forward, turn. As we have our balance in this arrow pose, we'll move from this pose into warrior three. So it requires a little power, it requires some strength, and our drishti, our focus. So option, bunny step the back foot in, press into that right foot, lift the left leg, and then bringing those arms forward. Imagine you have a block and you were squeezing it. You can hold this pose for several breaths, or you might sing an exhale. And our exhale brings this left knee right behind our right knee, and we kind of dance our warrior three. On the next breath, inhale, extend those arms, take the heart rings, and our exhale. We take the hands to a block, maybe to the floor as that left foot joins the right, and we'll fold. Take a breath, bend the knees a little to rise on up. Take the reach up to the sky. And as you exhale, return to where we began. Anjali Mudra, and not to the pose.